begin. You have 10 minutes starting now.
Our team is working on Michigan State Fairgrounds. My name is Kyle Woods.
Brian Baum.
Chris Millihan.
Jay Emden.
Christine Costa.
And Corey Gustavus.
So just the location here. Our site is located in Wayne County. You can see it way up at the top. It borders Oakland County just to the north.
Start moving.
Oh,
We're familiar where it was at, so
Yeah, we know where it's at.
okay. I went pretty far up. Okay. Oh, I'm doing this one. The site is currently owned by the
louder.
The site is currently owned by the state of Michigan. It's 164 acres and it's the Brown. We're also next to, or kind of encompassing, a site that is currently owned by Gateway Park LLC, which is the corner lot of 8 Mile and Woodward. That's 35 acres. And as of September 2010, the state of Michigan is planning on transferring the ownership of this site to the city of Detroit through legislature action. We kind of tried to figure out the current land value of this site. The 35 acres was bought from the state of Michigan by Avenue Investors LLC in 2000 for $6.1 million. They sold it to Gateway Parks LLC for $10.5 million. So if the 35-acre site was $10.5 million, then the 164-acre site could equal $49.2 million. That was in 2000. So we're adjusting that minus 60%. That was just an estimate to be $29.5 million today. There's also, we are assuming that the legislative action won't go through and it'll be owned by the state of Michigan. We're proposing to purchase the property. If the legislature action does go through, we're proposing to purchase it from the city of Detroit.
So I think, as everyone knows, the site has a rich history, and it started out as the first state fair in the country, or one of them. Over the years, it's had several different uses. Back in the 30s, it was a horse. There were horse races. In the 50s, it went to automobile races, that were in conjunction with the state fair. Joseph L. Hudson purchased a property and sold it to the state of Michigan for $1 on April 18th, 1905. And it was dedicated a state historical site on August 29th, 1958. So this is our site here. This is Woodward and 8 Mile at the top. Those are the boundaries. This is just some photos of our site. It's pretty rough neighborhood, but there are a lot of existing buildings. Go to the next slide. We have the White Hall and Livestock Barn. So some of the buildings, while they're historic, others are not, such as the White Hall. There's a band shell on the site, a 5,600 seat Coliseum, which they play hockey in, and the Joe Dumars Fieldhouse.
Okay, so this, with rich history on this site, it also came with some drama and politics. So we figured it would be a really good idea to try and learn from history rather than repeat history. In 1996, Bill Davison of Palace Sports and Entertainment proposed a Motor City Speedway, a 30,000-seat auto racing facility on this 80-acre fairground site. In '96, in response to this proposal, iCare was formed, and it's a strong neighborhood organization to oppose this proposal. The majority of members are Detroiters from the affluent Palmer Woods and Palmer Park neighborhoods, as well as the residents of the surrounding Oakland County. iCare's mission statement down there is basically to block any kind of development that makes noise. In March 2000, the State Fair Development Group, led by Joe Niederlander, Okay, Niederlander. He agreed to lease the property from the state for 30 years for, it would equal $25 million at the end of 30 years, while investing $200 million in fairgrounds and surrounding areas. It included $80 million in redevelopment of the fairgrounds, as well as $120 million in surrounding areas with housing, theaters, hotels, restaurants, and stores. In June 2000, Detroit, Ferndale, Pleasant Ridge, Huntington Woods, 5 neighborhood associations, 41 individuals, Woodlawn Cemetery filed suit to block the proposal of the racetrack and the fairgrounds. They alleged that the racetrack were not permitted under Detroit zoning ordinance for the site. In October 2000, the judge ruled that the proposal must conform to Detroit zoning, so they were not allowed to do the racetrack. They were allowed to do the amphitheater, but it wasn't going to create any profit for them. So Niederlander exited the deal from the state of Michigan. There's a lot more to this, and I know you guys know it all, but I'm just trying to sum it up.
You have about 3 minutes, guys, okay?
Oh my God, okay. Here's some proposals that we found. State of Michigan offered a $1 lease to Huron Metro Parks. Metro Parks voted down. They didn't want to do it. They couldn't afford it. Film studio complex. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
For the demographics, we took the surrounding areas of Birmingham, Ferndale, Royal Oak, Southfield, Detroit, and also Highland Park. And as pretty much everyone knows, that Birmingham, Royal Oak, and Ferndale is where most of the money is around those surrounding areas of our site. Detroit has been suffering in the past, and Southfield is kind of just maintained right in the middle of all the surrounding areas. And this is a graph of the population every 10 years, and towards the end is the actual projection for the next 30 years or so.
This is just a graphic generated by time from U.S. Census data indicating percentage of addresses that are unoccupied. And you can see it's ranging anywhere from 0 is the very pale to the red, which is about 50% unoccupied. And we're sort of in the middle within that 10 to 25% range, sorry. The orange, sorry, 30-40% range there of unoccupied addresses.
We should probably get to the proposal now.
Yeah, because we're
Okay. Vacant homes in Detroit, there's a lot. The demolition plan for Detroit, there's a lot of homes that are proposed to be demolished around our site. Zoning.
This is major retail within the 10-mile range, Somerset Collection, Northland Center, Open Mall.
And this is just another graph that kind of just touches as well.
We'll skip that for now. Is there economics? Okay.
This is our actual projected, what we plan on doing with it. We plan on bringing back the actual state fair, and while that's only going to be around for about 3 or 4 weeks out of the year, what we've actually proposed to do is put in a sports dome right over here, 110,000 square foot, for all season sports, have a driving range, have indoor soccer fields inside there. We've also proposed to put in a baseball field for the spring and summertime, along with the skate park. This is the land that is currently owned that is off our site, and what we've found is that they're planning on putting in a Myers and more retail shopping. All of the blue are the current buildings on the site that we are keeping. We got the hockey arena, the Joe Dumars. There's actually a mansion on the green. This is the bus stop, the transit stop that they currently have, and they're planning on putting in a short line railroad or railroad system sometime in the near future. There's talks about it, so we incorporated another stop right there for that short line track. And then at the top right, there's actually a current farmer that is interested in 40 acres of farming land there for urban farming. So we propose that the person can actually come here, farm, and maybe sell some of his product to the Myers or a whole food store.
And bringing back, I just have one more thing to say. Bringing back the state fair, it's going to be run, instead of run as a government entity, it would be run as a for-profit, as with the model of the Texas State Fair, which makes, we wouldn't make this much probably because it's Detroit, it makes about $5 million per year when they put it on. So it would be run as trying to make profit. That would cause us to create new rides, new attractions every year.
Okay, thank you.
This is tough. Is that it?
Yeah. Yes, that's it.
All right. Now, based on the numbers we talked about the first day, is that going to be land that should be farmed?
That's what, when we started doing that analysis,
And
I don't know if I can go
what
back
did
there.
you come up with in terms of value?
we, at the higher end of the value you gave us, which is $1,000 per acre,
Yeah.
we only would be making $44,000 to lease that property as farmlands. So that's not very much.
Is
It'd
that
be more
going
of
to
an
be affordable out
attraction.
of that acreage?
No. Well, at the, we were kind of in the middle of doing the economics, and it's just, it started to almost make sense.
And what are you going to do with the blue area? That's going to be, remain the same?
There's tenants in there year round. There's tenants in there like Joe Dumar's Field House, the hockey teams from Wayne
That's
State.
sports and so on.
Yeah, so we're trying to
And
keep
what
the
is
year-round
the red,
tenants.
what are the red buildings?
That's that corner lot that's proposed to be a Meijer, and it's been in the works since 2000, but it's still in the works as of August 2010.
It's meant to be retail. I don't know if there's any reality to that. I have no idea.
There's been so many articles ranging from 2000, and the last one was August 2010. It was still.
Sometimes be more.
Yeah.
In the sense that there is no retail opportunity, per se. I can tell you that now. And the surrounding neighborhood is difficult. The problem, however, and maybe it don't make sense, and maybe it's synergistic with the other, sports uses. You'd have to do the numbers. I'm not familiar enough with the numbers to know. One thing this market, this community doesn't really have is a great farmer's market. And one of the things you could look at is in context of the farming, maybe you, instead of leasing it to one farmer in 44 acres, you try and do sort of maybe a more organic. The problem is that with our seasons, it doesn't work, obviously 12 months a year. You're only going to have produce, a certain number of months.
We got a pretty good farmer's market downtown, so.
It's okay, but I think this could attract Oakland County
You're probably right.
in a way that you don't get downtown.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a way to create sustainable farming, or you try and do
Well, you got
sort of a-
buildings there that you could use for it. You got one
Right.
large building there that could be very good for a farmer's market.
And maybe you create an overall idea around a vision of a
But that's
farmer's market.
weekends, really.
It's really just weekends. I understand it's not huge money, but maybe there's a vision where you create a farmer's market and you try and build off of that with food
I think it's a good idea.
to create sort of a vision, and maybe there's somehow other fresh meat. You have to think about what you could do
Yeah.
and create some maybe temporary food uses that only operate on the weekend. With the idea of trying to create some three-dimensional experience. Think out of the box as to if you're the target age, you're going down to a farmer's market, what are the other things you want to do when you're at a farmer's market that would make it a more interesting and exciting
Yeah.
experience for you to go? And think of the farming, that is the 44 acres, think of it as a lost leader. Not that you're making money on the farming, but you're giving it to maybe a whole group of farmers that create some different vision of farming. I don't know. I think it's at least an idea I take and respect the idea of trying to reuse the buildings rather than demolishing them, because I don't think there's any real use for the space.
On South Boulevard, a fellow built a soccer operation. It's very successful. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I don't know
And
if
it would
Mark-
certainly work here too. That's another
Okay.
idea. And,
You'd have to look at the demand based on the number of soccer
yeah, we'll
players
check it
versus
out. I mean, it's.
baseball. Baseball is a bigger market, but there may be a lot more competition. Maybe a lot of existing diamonds that already exist.
Yeah, but you can't, problem with it is you can only put so many kids on the floor.
Right.
And you got the same problem with baseball. Baseball isn't a good use.
Well, baseball, you can't do.
Takes too
one
many
field.
acres.
You know, the current, theory is you do like
Yeah.
8 or 12 of them or something, and you create a whole, so you could leverage the infrastructure taking care of it and of overseeing it by having multiple uses so it can be of higher quality.
Yeah.
And it's better taken care of.
Right.
It seemed with the price of the lot and then these kind of uses, it wasn't making much sense. That's where we kind of
Don't
started
think of
getting
so much,
stuck.
you don't have to make money in every single use
Okay.
that you put in. But what you have to do at the end of the day is have an overall concept which works as a concept and where you can make money in some areas and you may not make as money in other areas, but they're critical to the performance of the concept. So I would look at the farm area as the loss leader. It gives you the authenticity and the creativity to then bridge off into the farmer's market. It makes it special and different than any other farmer's market that exists in the market. And you try and integrate it in some way.
Well, you
Make it
do
more
it if you
interesting.
use existing structure.
Right, well, that you would do with the
You
farmer's
got
market.
you got an excellent structure for the big one, the big.
Right.
Structure.
There's nothing easy about these projects in Detroit, I'll say that.
The market is a very difficult
Right.
market.
It's always-
Well,
it's
thank you
always-
very much. We gotta use we gotta get
One
the
more.
other one in here.